Matt, but he.
Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Welcome to the December meeting of the East Lampeter Sewer and Stormwater Authorities. And present we have members. We have Mr. Warner, Stump, myself, Rick Robinson, Fred Clark. Representing the township, we have Tara Hitchens and Stephanie Leakway. And we're expecting Matt Seachy here at any time. I guess he's running a little late, but otherwise we're gonna move into the, invite you to join us in the pledge of the American Republic.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
We've had the minutes for 2-3 weeks now. Unless there's any additions or corrections, we're going to stand approved as read. Hearing none, we'll go on. Treasurer's report, sanitary sewer.
We have checks that need written in the amount of $5,271.50. And as of the end of roughly the total balance of $9,015.70.
Requisitions. Sorry, Matt.
Sorry.
You voted against what was on.
Water requisition, it's number 03-679. Elimination project for the Strasburg Pike Sewer Extension. The total amount of $2,444.50.
That's it.
That's it.
Motion to pay the bills and recommend. Sanitary sewer. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Stormwater bill.
The need written in the amount of $213.03. Checking account balance $16,497.36 to the appropriate amount. Big one.
It's fine, it's just a small portion. They need.
Okay.
Oh, they're actually doing the lining now. I'll make a motion that we say the stormwater.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Business under sanitary sewer, CFA funding.
The first project would be the Oaks Pump Station Implementation Project. The occupancy permit for that project, and PADEP has also issued the water obstruction encroachment permit for the project. We've received the easement agreement for the Oaks Home HOA association property, and that's included with your packet, but we would need authority authorization for them to sign that here today. Once that, if you approve that, solicitor can work on signed and recorded. Also, just prior to the meeting, I saw there was an email that came through from the solicitor, with a response back from the attorney regarding their easement. They're looking for us to make some minor revisions to the location of that easement across Mr. and Mrs. property, which I believe is accomplished. And we can get that document prepared. There was note in there about compensation for the easement agreement. Sure what that figure is, or anything along the lines, or how calculated at this time.
I'm not aware of the compensation, of any compensation that's been calculated at this point. The attorney did indicate that Mr. Nisley's siblings also are owners, and so they too need to sign.
So we can work on preparing that document, revising that for the revised location. We did prepare the front end documents for the bidding, looking to get that here, staff review. And updated the project schedule. Receiving the permits, it looks like the HO, we may have some progress with Mr. Nisley. We have to still get through the siblings as well. But looking that we did advertise for the project in January with receipt of the bids in February and notice received in March. And I think it's a relatively short project that they could then get constructed there by the August timeframe prior to September. You should see if we arrange.
You need action from us here. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, so in the there document between the authority and the Oaks Condominium Association.
It's labeled easement agreement number 1 at the top. It's just easement agreement.
Make a motion, we approve the us and the Oaks Condominium Association.
Okay.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Staff or run compensation.
That project is being completed. The contractor did the work of it. We've been working on obtaining the necessary documents so we can submit for reimbursement request. To see it better. So there's being in contact with the solicitor's office. You just need one document, but it should have real information.
Did we want to change the
Yes. Yep.
Have you completed?
There's some minor paperwork we need to finish with that and submit it to Debbie and Ray. But they've been I've done it on some other jobs and I've gotten answers back.
The authority recalls there were more projects involved in that CFA funding, and so taking those projects off the table allows for them to potentially be funded in the future.
Good. It's very, very quick project.
PennDOT has approved the HOP for that project, and we've received that. At last month's meeting, I reported and we did submit the rural obstruction encroachment application to DEP for that. We have not received any comments back or approval on that one from DEP yet, so that's still under review. We've finalized or completed the front end, so I'm going to get that to staff for their review. And then once we had submitted the easements to Solicitor Cream's office over the past month, they gave me some comments on the draft for that. I got responses back to them, so I think they should have those out to the various property owners and we'll contain those. There's, I think, roughly 6 easements may be needed, but one of those is, or 3 of those, I think, is the same property owner associated with. Similar, at least right now, I'm looking at a similar project schedule for advertising that in January. When the issues proceed in March. Pending receipt of the, hope we get feedback from DEP on approval or permit.
Okay. Rockvale discussion.
So let's approve the agreement with Rockvale for improvements to an upgrade to the existing standard that are required to allow the Rockvale. Rockvale is engaged RGS as their engineer for designing these improvements. And RGS has submitted conceptual concepts of what they're intending to, their intention for upgrading of their facilities. You have in front of you red line comments that I made to those improvements for concept drawing. That were my thoughts, was to make sure that they have the connections to the facilities, making sure that they are aware that there are key laterals at times, making sure that they capture those upgrades in the future, or those connections there as part of the upgrade. Couple items that, for the agreement, the authority does have the ability to request certain improvements above and beyond what Rockvale is proposing and needed for their system upgrade. Now, they're showing the need of a 15-inch pipe to be installed to support their basement. Earlier this year, there was some question on whether the authority would desire to increase the size of that piping above and beyond 15 inches for possible future development elsewhere, flows through this portion. So previously we had looked at that 15-inch pipe, estimated that the remaining capacity after Rockvale has their flows for their parcel 5 development would be approximately 446 EDUs remaining in that site. If we were to go to the next larger pipe size, which is 18-inch diameter, the number of EDUs would keep supporters moving. It's over 2,000 EDUs in that pipeline. We'll get from about 40 to 2,034. The cost for that, when we looked at it earlier this year, which was going from a 15-inch to an 18-inch pipe, based on the cost that we had done, where it was about $146,000 for the larger pipe size, larger transportation associated with it. That assumes that there's no change in the there's we're still doing the same restoration that would be needed, they would associate. So I guess that's one question, is that the authority desires, it says, hey, do we want you to be responsible for that cost, and maybe that's the cost that we developed. I'm sure Rockville's gonna look at it, to their contractors, and say, hey, this is what the cost they believe would be.
So per the agreement, this is the meeting at which you have to make a decision.
That 18 inches up to the Route 30,
Yes.
that's where it stops. So it's
They could
18 inch
call-
from there across Smoke Creek.
Where? I mean, I guess, where would, possible future development be there? Is it possible?
So this is the line, it's fed all along Route 30 down to Souders. So anywhere along Route 30.
I mean, beyond 896, so isn't that zoned agriculture pretty much?
Short piece, and then it goes into a village zoning down in Soundersburg and towards Gordonville. If you, right behind Todd.
Yeah,
It's
right
the
behind
brown
the-
area.
Here.
So the salmon color is the C3, and that takes you to the,
This is all
steam.
south.
So that takes you to the steam boat. And then
It's a steam.
east is,
So pretty much everything is commercial is already developed.
Well, that's my point, though. I mean, and what can be changed through here, though?
Brown is what?
that's village general.
Village commercial. Oh, it's not very deep.
I'm just thinking, well, it's.
How many excess EDU do we have in that existing line now that was before Rockville?
Well, currently that pipe is basically, is at capacity as it exists right now.
Is that capacity, right?
Yeah. There are segments that.
That's with a 15-inch pipe.
And how many EDUs?
That's with the current pipe.
Oh.
The 12-inch pipe is in the ground currently.
I know we talked about going to the 18-inch, and I think that's probably the right way to go. I mean, just my opinion there.
You gave a number of 140.
It was 146 was what I calculated earlier this year.
How can we get some type of guarantee or some type of, because you don't have guarantee. Right?
We don't have a guarantee that it's going to be under. We don't have a guarantee that all of the animals stay the same based on. Right, so all of them.
40 is a very reasonable number. If you're gonna pick up 400 EDUs, I get that. But then it could be this, and it could be that, it could be that, and that. Before you know, it's gonna be another 700, 800.
There's the second question is. The existing line on Route 30 in front of the American Music Theater is an 8-inch pipe.
8-inch.
Yes. That pipe goes underneath the bridge between American Music Theater heading west.
Right.
That pipe was lined, there was a big break in it when we did the Route 30 improvements, we fixed that. But it is underneath the bridge that's there currently. That pipe, when you remove the Rockville flows from that, even with the peak flow, it's at 95% capacity. If there was development having basically east of American Music Theater would flow through that, there may need to be an increase there. So the other question is, for Rockville, we would bring 18-inch across Route 30. Do we want to extend that pipe to the east to basically in front of American Music Theater as a 15-inch pipe that would allow for any future flows that may be connected in that that segment of the line to be diverted into the new line. So base. Yep. On the bottom left corner of sheet 4, you can see the bridge that goes across Route 30. We would be starting at manhole 13 would be the terminus for the 18-inch pipe, and that's actually on page 3. At the very bottom right-hand corner, 18 inch. And then it's currently designed as it goes from manhole 13. If we keep back, it would be upsized for Rockville's purposes as a 10-inch pipe. Question would be, do we want to go from manhole 13 up across the entrance for Rockville back to basically where it stopped paralleling with Route 30? Manhole 17 as a 15-inch line, make sure that so that if we wanted to at some point in the future bring flow off of 30, we could dump it in that line. If there was ever a need that we had to replace it, increase the capacity of the bridge. Yeah, the steam crossing, so get it. Was underneath 15 and 16. Yes, yep, they'd have to get permits there for the stream crossing at this location, and this is out here is where the existing is located, which is underneath that bridge that goes across. It's approximately, I think I calculated about almost 600 feet of pipe. So we're looking at about, we're to do that again, going from a 10-inch pipe to a 15-inch pipe, you're looking at roughly $100,000, at least $100,000 increase there.
And again, that's the plus. Calculations you're coming up with is the Rockville, how many extra EDU?
The excess EDUs, we have the flow monitoring study that was done. And
You have a flow monitor, but you're taking the additional EDUs at Rockville at their full gallon capacity for a residential EDU, which is 239.
balance in there that says, based on the flow metering study, the peak flow event, plus what Rockville was adding, that gives us a peak flow event for that system. And then we look at the capacity of that pipe, what's left in there.
That's what you're saying. It's left in the 15-inch pipe. Footnote. Losses. They start crossing, string crossings, and then they run into, had a situation across the street where our sewer crossing ran into a water pipe. And it turned from a simple boring to a major issue because of hitting a damn water pipe. So it's just not as simple as the cost of the pipe.
Yeah, it's not the cost. Yeah, it's a larger trench. It's actually
Questioning your number. I'm just saying, with all the other utilities in there, until you start hitting gas, water, and whatever, I mean, you hit an 18-inch water main by going from a 12, and you don't have enough clearance between them, and they make you either go someplace else or go deeper. There's a lot of hidden costs, potential hidden costs. And I'm afraid of approving something when we're thinking 140,000 and it comes back at 800,000 till it's all said and done. to pick up and, you know, from 400 to 2,000.
442. 34.
I would want to before. But even back to this situation, this was engineered, this was checked, this was, and the water pipe was just deeper than what it was supposed to be on the drawings. And then we got to go through a lot of extra expense to get around that. So there's just so many unknowns. I'm sure you run this every day.
Yeah, and it's trying to do your due diligence and look at, you know, we're purpose utility engineering to try to identify those locations of those utilities and identify those depths and get that known in front so you can identify it and then come up with a solution or design instead of being out there construction and saying,
Yeah.
Rockville's only goes into manhole 13. That's the end of their project.
Their project extends all the way to
Down through.
their project is on page 4. On the right side. They extend off. With Freeman.
Okay.
So that up to where their parcel 5 is. So they're intending to construct a new line all the way across their property back into their parcel 5. So on sheet 8, it gives their planet profiles, but it 5 through 8 give an idea of the depth of their
Are you adding manholes on this or?
They're going to be placing manholes in kind, but they're also adding new ones because of the reroute they have to do across Route
They have
Bay.
to pump around every time. This is going to be flowing, so they gotta do pump arounds each one.
They're looking to replace the sewer in the current location that's dead between Mill Creek and Route 30. Basically.
Yeah.
And then similarly, once they get across Route 30, where they're going behind their stores that abut Route 30 there into their property, it's the same location. So they're going to have a lot of bypass pumping associated with it for construction purposes.
How deep is the line crossing through 30?
Page 6. Well, page 6 is going to be. 16 feet with one manhole is approaching 20.
330 to.
So they are showing on the profile some of the existing storm crossings, which they should be able to get, which they have to be if I'm not already. Some of the other crossings with the water main and gas main and such, I think we would do additional effort to identify those locations as part of that crossing.
$146,000 and $100,000, $246,000 with no real.
Earlier this year, we had done some projects in Elizabethtown area with similar sized piping, utilizing the bids that we had received from contractors on those jobs there. We took those depths, took those quantities, those bid prices there and said, we apply them in this project.
Our agreement, that whatever their contractor is gonna say, correct?
There's language in the agreement that says, once we get the information and cost from their engineering contractor reviews it to ensure it's correct. And we go from there.
So that's when we have a final say.
And that's when we have a final number.
So you're saying you have a final say tonight without a final number?
That's correct.
I've been bitten in the ass too many times with this, I'm sorry.
You approve it as a not to exceed.
That's not what the agreement says. And
There, on the far downstream end of the system, where it crosses Mill Creek, those pipes currently, it's a siphon, so you got Mill Creek, sewer sits above here, the bottom of the creek's down here, so the sewer lines actually going under Mill Creek, they come down and they come back up. And what they have to do there is actually do a temporary diversion, Hopper Dam and Mill Creek there, so they can construct a third pipe installed there to give them capacity and do something similar as well. So
they use the existing pipes, you're just gonna do a third pipe.
that was the current concept, was keep the two that are there, add in a third pipe to get additional capacity. So that was the current concept.
Is that okay?
Yeah, from a standpoint there, I'm fine with that from an engineering aspect. I guess that's, thinking back, you know, we don't know the condition of the existing lines that are there. There's nothing that says they're in bad shape, but it's unknown condition. They've been installed since, you know, when they were put in 1970. It's difficult to look at.
Expense without an unknown cost.
Yeah, it's not fair to us, I don't think, allowing us to go into it blind, basically. I just don't, I agree with you.
I agree with that. Do we also open ourselves up to something? So same ditch going from 15 to 18. Do we open ourselves up to something then? Well, if it didn't make it bigger, this wouldn't happen. And then we're fighting with them with some costs.
There's just so many things. Personally, I have so much bad experience with it. I figure, you know, usually a third more than whatever the engineer says.
Nothing to eat on you.
Oh, and it's you.
I mean, contingency figures in, like that number I gave you, there's no contingency. That's what I said in this.
Yeah.
Like that's pricing. So
There's so many when you start digging.
Yeah, I don't see generally the material that they have, the equipment they have out there, you're not going to be changing, you know, different equipment, say, hey, I need a larger excavator to put it in 18-inch pipe in versus a 15-inch.
Are they boring Route 30? Yeah.
So that's a factor. It's larger boring, probably going from a 20-inch to like a 24-inch boring size there.
Right.
That is a difference there.
Or this pipe, you said is 8-inch in front of.
So what is Route 30? Basically coming from 896 to the American Music Theater where it crosses. The bridge is an 8-inch pipe. And it's 8-inch in the entire stretch. And then once it ties into the line that parallels the stream that goes from Route 30 back to Mill Creek, that's a 12-inch pipe.
Yeah, if we were to do it, I agree with you that you gotta extend it the whole way. You gotta extend it. But that's to me the ugliest part of the route.
Yeah.
Thinking about this, you could say you're not going to increase it to 18 inches. You could say, hey, bring the 15-inch instead of stopping at Route 30, bring that back to the American Music Theater and make it 15 inches there. Because then you would still have the flexibility to change that field of vision.
Run that by me one.
Sure. So right here,
Three H.
so they're bringing 18-inch pipe through the northern side of Route 30. For the, or I'm sorry, that's where the 15-inch pipe is stopping. So you would have a manhole that brings your existing flow that exists now on Route 30 from the east and west. That's going to remain as is. But they're going to put a new boring across Route 30 that is just a 10-inch line that is for their flow from their development.
Right.
And that 10-inch pipe is then going to cross Route 30 onto Rockville and then run through Rockville's site for their flows. You could start at manhole 11 and then continue that 15-inch pipe across Route 30 and bring that back all the way to manhole 17. And that at least allows you flexibility in the future there. If you want to divert flow from Route 30 in the future, from the east, from Salzburg, there's flow through that one as well. Yeah, so another shade. What is it?
It's part of the construction and you're bound to.
You said this pipe in front of, American Music is at 95% capacity.
That peak flow, that's it.
So what's our, trying to look out into the future? How much more would it take until we have a problem, then we're digging up something?
You'd be looking at a couple of different options. I mean, depends upon, what. So it depends upon where that growth would happen along Route 30. Heading east, you'll do that, I guess, the bottom is it. Some of those flows go into the Salzburg pump station. So it really depends. That pump station pumps wood. So if the project is big enough that the flows are mitigated at Salzburg, you're not increasing the capacity flowing through this line. But if you have a development that's occurring, let's just say we're like the Adidas outlet there, that's going to have a bigger impact where perhaps we have to look at a way that increase flow, maybe we have to go into the American Music Theater property and go north and cross the stream that way and tie into the 15-inch line. So there could be a different option.
Yeah. Just trying to gauge the liability of future liability. What
Could have future says, hey, we want to do something else here, that is a redevelopment, let's just say, of where Adidas is at there.
Okay.
That may necessitate the need to upgrade this right away as well. We just don't know. There's potentially also some I&I. We noticed there was a lot of I&I in that section, so if there's ways to mitigate and reduce the I&I in that area too, that can reduce your peak flow as well. This section as well.
Manhole 11, manhole 15, that is really deep. All 13 roughly looks about.
Do we need a motion if we're just gonna let it?
Of some sort. Either move forward with increasing the line or leave it as is needed for.
I make a motion that we keep the lines as they are in this
The 15 inch.
proposal, 15 inch.
Yeah, discussion. You still think we're. Feel
What, Rick?
we're handcuffing ourselves.
I mean, if we don't do it.
Right.
Well, although I felt better from what Matt said, that there would be options that we could bypass if we had to. Not like it's gonna, yeah, I was afraid of that too. What's our liability of not doing it? And what's the future cost of not doing it now?
Putting across through,
And is this proposal,
Yeah, if there's, yeah,
is this proposal also saying we're gonna increase the pipe from American Music Theater to the 15 inch?
it goes the whole way up to Route 30, yeah.
Because originally that wasn't in the proposal, was it? Increasing that 15 inch pipe from American
Well, they
Music.
had to increase it up 15 inch up to Route 30 because of the Salzburg line coming down and the north south 30.
What's shown here was recommendations from the study to handle Rockville's, the additional flow from Rockville. What we're talking about increasing above and beyond that is to give the authority additional capacity within the drainage basin in this area here to handle. Should there be a need for, potential redevelopment that's happening at Rockville, it happens in other commercial areas of this drainage basin.
The increase in front of American Music Theater is outside the scope of this. What they're saying, so that wouldn't be part of this agreement.
But I mean, that's the option to do later if needed.
That the authority does later.
Okay.
There is an option to do it,
I mean,
to increase.
I'm wondering if we could tell them to, just thinking here. Look at the depth of the depth of the sewer main in Route 30, that's in front of American Music Theater. And could we make sure that the boring that's done, perhaps the boring, instead of putting a casing pipe in that size for a 10-inch line, could they put a casing pipe that size, could be sized for 15-inch in the future? Should the authority need to upsize that line in the future to do some sort of project, maybe even with like Rockville, and install it as a 10-inch as part of a 15-inch in the future. But at least the boring or casing pipe that's going to survive for that. You don't have to re-bore that, you put it in part of it under the road system. Does require some design, additional design effort on their part. But then you'd be digging 18 feet deep or so through Rockville's parking lot to replace these lines in the future, should be needed, or digging through American Music Theater and across the creek, tie in to the 18-inch pipe. So there definitely be stream crossings permits and those type of things.
And at that time, if we needed more capacity, there would be a developer that would be paying for it.
Okay. I'm on board. We're looking for a motion to approve the proposal from Rockville.
Fred made a motion to keep the pipe at the current 15-inch capacity with no upgrade or expense incurred by the township. That's what we're going with, right?
Right.
Yeah, Todd second, so it's just.
Matter, we're gonna vote.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
But we are gonna have to then see if they can do a larger casing.
That would need to be part of your motion.
Yeah,
Yes,
so I know, right, and do we want to, I
Yeah,
like that idea, would that be a second motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, yeah. Asking them to bore a larger casing so that we can just put another larger pipe in. Do we want to?
it may require larger casing, but males depths of manholes in Route 30 in front of American Music Theater, and make sure that their new 10-inch line they're putting in is, well, at least the boring pipe is deep enough, the boring would be deep enough to make that connection. Bring that.
Yeah, the boring would be deep enough anyhow. And wouldn't you be connecting the line on the north side of Route 30?
It depends on how you get the flow from the 8-inch pipe in front of American Music Theater tie in. I mean, you could look at alternatives of, is there an alternative to go from the area in front of American Music Theater, head north into the American Music Theater property, and then head west across the street and tie in that way? Or is there a way that you could head, instead of going across American Music Theater, head south into this 10-inch line, but then you'd be updating, replacing all these manholes and piping and everything else.
And again,
Yeah, so that's.
and again, you're back.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, you have, your commercial property is pretty well developed. The rest you got is ag.
I mean, separate from this.
No.
I would say separate from this here, don't forget about the I&I that was discovered in that area and the need to mitigate that. So if you can, mitigate that and show substantial reductions, that can give you additional capacity.
And hopefully all the new lines alleviate that I&I because that is wet the whole way through there.
Well, the I&I we saw was upstream of Rockville's point of connection. So it's coming.
Coming towards, South. Well, I mean, we should be addressing I&I anyhow. So I guess I didn't pick that up before. There is a substantial amount of I&I coming out of Southsburg. Then again, I'm opposed to increasing something when you ought to be fixing the problem in the first place.
Okay, so the motion on the table was to leave the 15-inch pipe that we're on there. That's passed.
Discussion of, that passed. It's just discussion if we want to make another motion about the casing, but it doesn't sound like we do.
I don't think it's needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you good?
There, I think, had some other comments that were on the plans about, I think they're more. But there's other things I had about little manholes flush with grade, or should they be elevated a couple feet above grade for access purposes, adjacent to streets and things like that. So I don't think that's materially going to impact the concept. We're not changing the size of the structure, not changing the size of facilities.
Those manholes were elevated before, or were they just eroded down to where the lava show?
I think it's probably a little bit, quite honestly.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, I'm old enough to say, I think they've grown.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Adoption 2026 budget for the sewer.
Kevin, the finance director, provided to you with the budget summary and updated budget sheet from what you received last month. And then there is notice of what was changed since it's been advertised. And that was to follow the pay policy for the stormwater technician and provide the increase that was afforded to them. Sorry, I jumped to both stormwater and sewer funds. Chairman.
That budget.
The draft budget is not yet, it is on the website, right?
I'll make a motion, we approve the draft on the
All in favor, say aye. Any other old business? On the,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Jay Lupert and I am with Kettleworks. New to the company, CFO, so I'm just here to listen and say hi.
You're new to the company, so they made you come to this.
I was so excited to come. I'm in town. I live out in Colorado.
Oh, really?
So I'm leading the operations for the company now. Probably willing to say that I think my manufacturing experience and some of the things we did. That's all I'm learning. We'll get things fixed.
we're not getting an update like.
Okay.
Well, he told me that last time he probably overdid it, so.
I'd say the first time we ever did it. So the last time it's much shorter for you.
We're here. I'm open to talk if we need to, but I'm just mostly just saying.
Well, we do appreciate your input with trying to get this problem resolved.
Yes.
That's been very admirable in my opinion. Any other old business under sanitary sewer? Adoption 2026 budget. Amy's there.
We'll go over it again. It's the change sheet that was provided for the stormwater.
We are already approved that the budget now.
No, the changes on, or she combined them on the same sheet, so. I'll make a motion that we adopt the 26 stormwater budget.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any other old business under stormwater? New business, sanitary sewer, Western Gateway PennDOT resolution.
So I'll cover both 6A1 and 6A2
Okay,
together.
yeah,
So discussed this briefly at last month's meeting. PennDOT's doing improvements to the Western Gateway with the intersection there on US 30, PA 462. The improvements that they're doing are going to have impacts to the sanitary sewer at various locations. Up what used to be volleyball corners, probably the biggest area of impact. It's going to require, they're extending some of the culvert for the crossing that's up there. It's going to require horizontal relocations of some of the sewer mains in that area. Other locations in the project area, likely some vertical adjustments, the manholes because of changing location, the curb line, you know, what maybe is in paved now, they're going to put a curb in there, so they need to be raised, or they're going to do changing the grade of the roadway in various areas. So, some vertical adjustments of manholes. But I think the biggest area is up the volleyball corner and the exit ramp off of 30 to 462 there. With that, PennDOT is going through their design process, which they call utility coordination efforts. We've had meetings with PennDOT and the sewer and the city's been involved in their communication entities in this. And because you're going to have impacts in the sanitary sewer facilities, PennDOT has a couple items, which is a utility relocation, which is a consultant approval request and associated resolution to go along with that. and the cost share request, so that PennDOT can share with the cost of performing those improvements. So for the cost share request, the letter was the PennDOT share the cost of utility relocations, and that the cost share would be 75% PennDOT, 25% authority. It also states that the PennDOT must receive utility relocation plans, specifications, and preliminary estimates no later than the next 7 months. That is the resolution for adoption, which is a cost share. The second item is the consultant approval request, which they have listed as the engineer agreement. And this letter indicates that the authority is not staff to perform the engineering for the project, and requests HRG be the authority's approved consultant for the project. And HRG's work will be done in accordance with the authority.
Project is a fully funded PennDOT project. And the other fully funded PennDOT project along Route 30 that you entered the same type of agreements into eastbound in Soudersburg, they funded 100%, even though we agreed to the 75%.
Yeah, why are we paying 25%?
Their standard agreement.
Standard is 50/50. Standard is 50/50. Standard's 50/50. They've recently changed to a 75/25% split. But if you have, they use the term as real property interest. So your facility exists in an easement that you have, it's outside the current PennDOT legal right of way for the roadway. That scenario and PennDOT's work impacts that, because you have an easement that's there, you have real property interest. In that scenario, PennDOT pays 100%. If you glide down on the project that's eastbound, you're getting 100% reimbursement in that scenario here. So at this stage in the game, where we're on the project, they're going with the standard 75/25, but if we can show them real property interest, you can get a higher percentage cost coverage.
I fell asleep.
You show real property interest.
You have to do real property interest in this area.
How's that?
Where portions of your manholes are located, they're actually outside the current PennDOT right of way for Route 462. PennDOT's expanding their right of way as part of this project. So they're going into where you have an easement for your existing facilities that are outside the right of way. So I would say impacts there, we're likely to be covered 100%. Other impacts for sewer manholes that are within Route 30 and 462. That's going to be more of the 75/25% split. So, yeah, they'll do the math and say, does it end up being an 88/12% because of various costs and various locations or possible movements?
Say, that's what you're at. And it sounds like something we, so what are we doing here?
We need authority authorization to submit for the cost share resolution so that PennDOT can share the cost of the project. Otherwise, the authority will be responsible 100%.
You approve the resolution and approve the engineer agreement.
You can do that in one motion.
I think so. I don't think they're separate documents, yes.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the PennDOT resolution at their stated split, and also HRG as the consultant agreement.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
So
I think with that, I'm just looking here. Definitely.
DGPS and SAPS interceptor capacity evaluation and condition assessment escrow agreement amendment number 1. That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
This is one of the larger projects for the authority share we talked about in the past. This is for Connoisseur Gardens Pump Station, Stevens Avenue. The city with CDM Smith had done a capacity evaluation first. This is the next phase of that project, which is looking at completing the condition assessment of that facility. So this amendment would fund the condition assessment portion of the project, which would involve a contractor cleaning and televising the interceptors. And then CDM Smith for the city would then evaluate the televising records, determine if any rehabilitation is needed. And for your share of assessment, for your share, $386,466.97, which is 89.49% of the project cost.
Again,
What?
This is,
Yeah.
this is listed as a city project.
the city project. I guess we're that much of the flow and then sections are getting hit with that. Okay,
So we need authority authorization to execute this amendment.
how do we know, or why do we know this area is bad?
Well,
Or
this
really bad?
our pipe to determine the condition to see, is it in, the first thing they looked at was the capacity. They said, is there any portions of this that may need to be upgraded?
Right,
And if there are, they can exclude those. So they determined that there's no portions that need to be increased in size. Now they're looking at the capacity of it to determine that portions, sorry, condition assessment of it to determine if there's any portions that need to be rehabilitated. And if they do that, then they'll come up with an estimate of what those repairs are going to be and what that.
this is just a camera lookout. Repairs are gonna be on top of it. How old is this pipe?
The early 1970s when it was installed.
Okay,
Which probably just looking at your facilities, you know, this is the line that takes all of the fertility and everything else. Once the repair that was done previously on the portion of. I think your facility was last investigated, I want to say 2008 timeframe. So it may be something here we look at in the future is planning to do something like this, of the Mill Creek interceptor. And investigating.
well, the Mill Creek interceptor dates back to the 70s.
Right. So, you know, you've had issues with repairs on portions of this pipe here that they're looking at, the Tennessee Drive area. Maybe we start planning and looking at it yours.
Well, I'm not a federal fan. I don't think we have much choice in, you need a motion to approve the resolution. We'll make no agreement addendum.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The other under sanitary sewer. This says none and Aaron never lies, so. Or comment. Adjourn.
Here,